zombie movie recommendations list. So I'm going to pop up our little slide here. We're talking zombie movies. If you didn't already know, everybody, zombie movies is the conversation. So I think we're going to give you guys maybe 5 recommendations for zombie movies. It could be some of our favorite zombie movies that we watch. Maybe they're not rated the best by other people, but for us, this is something that you should definitely take a look at. Okay, now let's just jump into your first one then, and then we'll go from there.
The first on my list.
First on your list, yes, sir.
So, like my number 5, sort of, I have is 2007's Planet Terror, directed by Robert Rodriguez. Because I mean, Grindhouse is like a top 5 movie going experience in my life, but Planet Terror is just movie going bliss. Like it gets the genre, and it's so gloriously over the top that it's an absolute riot to watch. Like if I'm talking like comedic things in zombie movies, like things that don't take itself seriously, I will point to this one 100% of the time. Like there's like so much iconic shit. There's the machine gun leg girl. There's Tarantino playing a rapist, and there's like the zombies are like constantly mutating and getting scarier. Like it's nuts. Like if you haven't seen Planet Terror, definitely do it. You can rent it basically anywhere. It's not free anywhere right now, but it's worth checking out if you haven't watched it yet.
And that is one that I need to watch, actually. There we go. Yeah. There's a big blind spot. There we go. So I'm recommended to watch that movie. There we go. Yeah, I've always wanted to watch that one. For whatever reason, I actually checked it out from the library one time, but then I got busy that week and I had to return it and without watching it. So I'm like, yeah, I should have watched it. But definitely check that one out. I guess I got mine. I didn't really have anything ranked. I just had a bunch of like I really want to talk about. So I guess as my number 5, I would probably say, let me see here. I'm gonna go with Little Monsters, which you can actually find on Hulu with Lupita Nyong'o. So she is a kindergarten teacher. Have you seen this movie, by the way, Tom?
I have not.
Okay, so Lupita Nyong'o is a kindergarten teacher who they go on a field trip with the kindergartners to this place, and then all of a sudden this government facility, which is kind of close by, has a zombie outbreak, and all the zombies are coming out, and Lupita and this other guy needs to kind of help keep these kids alive and kill off a bunch of zombies. And Lupita has his way of keeping the kids calm by singing Taylor Swift and having some outrageous killing scenes of zombies. And it's a very creative and unique zombie experience. It has one of my favorite actresses in the film, so I was immediately just kind of charmed by it. And it's a cute zombie film that it's kind of worth the watch. And it's streaming on Hulu. It's one of their Hulu properties. So if you have Hulu, I would definitely check it out because it's kind of fun. It's a unique kind of zombie experience. And Taylor Swift, zombies, Lupita, kind of what more can you ask for in a zombie movie? So there you go.
Yeah, I didn't actually know there was a zombie movie. I remember when that came out, but now I definitely will watch it.
Yeah, it's a very unique thing because we just started playing and I was like, this is a zombie movie. I didn't quite realize. I just knew it was kind of a funny, looked like a funny movie from the trailer, but I didn't quite put 2 and 2 together that it was a zombie film. And Lupita kicking ass as this kindergarten teacher was pretty awesome. So, what's your next one?
So I watched this movie. I don't know if you've heard of it or seen it. It's an Irish movie called The Cured, directed by David Brain from 2018. It's basically in the world where there's a cure for the zombie virus, and Elliot Page is in it. But it's so the cured are like discriminated upon by the rest of society because people don't trust their impulses and stuff. And then there's also the infected that haven't been cured yet, and they are like caged. And then there's like an uprising by the cured to be treated fairly. It's a decent movie, but this is an example of what I was talking about with like the social commentary kind of thing, because like you could easily see parallels to society and stuff. It's almost like I can't even think of what the movie's called. Never mind. But it's a fascinating idea, and it's a first film too by the director David Frayne, and it's a really cool movie. It's on Hulu as well. Going to watch it, but yeah, I stumbled across that movie, and I was pretty much I was loving it.
Nice, on Hulu, and it's called The Cured. Nice, I got to take a look at that. Then that sounds pretty interesting and kind of really fun experience too. So my next film is a film that I know that you let me borrow, and I was kind of going through things. Wasn't the first one I thought of, but I'm like, if you really like crazy uh, practical effects that are really gory, really bloody, I would check a movie. This movie goes by two different names: Dead Alive and Braindead, directed by Peter Jackson from 1992 or 1994, depending on where you find the date for it. But A Dead Alive, Braindead is this kind of crazy, fascinating film that was really hard to keep my eyes on because of how in your face some of these effects are. But I think it does kind of qualify as a zombie movie because there's dead creatures coming back and coming after this guy and trying to kill him. And there's this crazy sequence where he gets a lawnmower and just starts mowing down people with it. And it's wow, it's a very unique experience for this kind of zombie culture. And having Peter Jackson, when you think Peter Jackson, you think of what? Lord of the Rings, and you don't think of this movie that's very under the radar. But Dead Alive / Brain Dead, I think it's actually on our website twice in both years with the different names as well. But anyway, yeah, that's what I would say. Brain Dead, Dead Alive.
Yeah, that was
Kind of
actually the
needs to
next
be
one I was
mentioned.
going to talk about too. Like that
Oh, there we
movie,
go.
it's one of the
Yeah, talk about it.
goriest, like nastiest movies, but it's like freaking hilarious too. Like it starts
It
with like
is.
the someone getting bit by a rat monkey, and it's just like a disgusting scene. But it's fantastic, and yeah, seeing Jackson go from this to Lord of the Rings, it makes almost no sense, but it's awesome because like that also gives this movie some sort of like a cult status. Otherwise, it probably would just be like lost in history. But it's like schlocky and trashy. But it's a perfect zombie movie, and they never actually use the word zombie in like a lot of these movies because you can kind of just like make what you want from what they are. They're living dead basically. But unfortunately, this movie isn't streaming anywhere, not even to rent. But I would definitely recommend buying it because if you like anything to do with zombie movies, this is as good as you're gonna get.
Yeah, well, I had an idea that you were gonna probably mention, but I was like, we got to talk about it. It's a dead, yeah, it's crazy little movie. It's kind of a bummer that it isn't streaming anywhere. Um, but that's a good thing about check your local pawn shops, go to Amazon, go somewhere where you can even at half price books, you may be able to find it, and it's worth the however much it says on it because it's just a unique experience. I think that's probably the best thing you can say about it. It's just one of those ones you got a rat monkey biting somebody. What more do you want? So there we go. I'll probably go. My next pick was that your number 3, by the way?
Yeah, that was 3.
Okay, well that worked out perfectly. Number
Is that
3
like
for me.
Merlot you next time or?
Yeah, maybe we should just do more low. Yeah, forget about that rule. Number 3 for me, I'm going to go with one of my favorite films that finished in my top 10 or top 10 of the year, pretty high actually. I think it's number top 5, and that is Train to Busan.
Nice.
Probably should have been higher on my list, but I'm not really on board for the remake version because this film is fantastic. But Train to Busan is this South Korean film where this father has to get keep his daughter alive, obviously, and they go onto a train to Busan, pretty much because that's where the safe zone is. And what they counter here is some really fascinating different ways. Zombies on a train. You've heard of snakes on a plane, but have you checked out zombies on a train? That is what you need to watch. My favorite sequences in this movie is when they decide they're going to move train car to train car, and they go through these dark moments where the zombies do not move whatsoever. That is some of the most terrifying little sequences in the movie because you don't know if they're going to move, if they're not going to move, whatever the case may be. It's crazy, and I like seeing the relationship not just with the father and daughter, building those relationships there, but also with the other side characters because there's the typical classic characters. You got the douchebag, you got the heroic guy, you got the kind of the guy who's kind of standoffish. You got pretty much everybody you want in this, and there's some really cool deaths in there. I think the ending is actually really cool. Peninsula, a fun kind of in that world film, not necessarily a sequel, but in that same world. It's fun, but not nearly as good as Train to Busan. So definitely check out this film, and then give the other one a watch too. So Peninsula, still fun watch. So.
Yeah, Train to Busan is a great movie. Just great, exhilarating action, zombie stuff. Yeah, That's a great
I
choice.
totally forgot that the them crawling over themselves, like making that like zombie ball, like that's in the train. That's great. Like wow, that's fun stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of imagination in some movies, like in like World War Z, like they like are like ants, like they like crawl up each other to get over the wall and stuff like that. Like I love how they're like constantly giving them new things that they can or that are capable of doing. Like they can actually join together and do things, and which is even more terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bummer that David Fincher is not doing World War Z 2, but
Yeah,
anyway,
that would be awesome.
that would have been awesome. But anyway, what's your next pick?
So for my number two, I have the 2013 movie called The Battery,
Ooh,
directed by Jeremy Gardner. It was his first movie. He's also starred in the movie. It was only made for $6,000 budget. It's actually sort of a drama, and it feels like genuinely lifelike. It's about these two former baseball players who are in the amidst the zombie apocalypse, and it has all the beats of like zombie movies, but it's way more like character driven. And the budget for these movies should always be low. I feel like because it's more terrifying when they actually look real, and the practical makeup effects and stuff makes them even more effective in how they're seen. And like this is just one of the truly great zombie movies I've seen, and in a different way because you don't see things that are actually you actually have characters that you care about necessarily. And it completely knocked me out when I first watched it. It's on Tubi and it's on Canopy, so it's pretty widely available for anybody to watch for free.
there we go. This is another one. This is why I love doing these kind of things because there's movies that you'd probably never even heard of that other people have seen that you should watch. So I need to check out pretty much everyone on your list so far there, Todd. Thank you.
Yes.
I know a movie. Here's a movie that you have not watched, and I actually wasn't originally going to put this one up there, but we're talking about some campiness. We're talking about low budget movies. We're talking about a lot of humans turning into zombies, but have we talked about animals turning into zombies? So when a tragic, toxic barrel falls into a pond full of beavers, you get Zombeavers.
Nice.
So ridiculous. This follows. If you love Dead Snow with the Nazi zombies and the overly top ridiculous violence that movie is, Zombeavers might be right up your alley. This is a kind of a ridiculous plot. This bunch of teenagers, as they do, go out on a kind of like, I guess it's spring break or some kind of weekend, getaway weekend. They go out and, get in their bikinis and their swimsuits or whatever, go out swimming, and then all of a sudden a Zombeaver apocalypse happens, and we don't just see Zombeavers, we also see a zombie bear appears. My memory serves me well. I do remember people actually turning into zombies eventually too in the movie. It's a ridiculous gore. It's not exactly overly gory, but you're watching this for the B movie level of insanity that this movie does bring. It's so cheesy, ridiculous, and it's kind of just like the perfect movie to just have a couple cold ones, watch with your buddies, and just laugh at how stupidly awesome this movie is. So Zombeavers is a movie I'm recommending you to watch with friends. So definitely check that one out if you haven't.
Yeah, that kind of trashy horror is something that I really respond to as well. I should definitely check that out.
It's pretty ridiculous when you see like teenagers scared of beavers. They're like, but there's some really cool shots when like the ladies on the raft and they're like all these beavers are swimming out to her. It's pretty ridiculous. You never think of beavers as being like this crazy horror villain either. So,
right.
What's your last pick, man?
Well, if we're talking recommendations, I mean, it's easy to say like Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead, but those are pretty much seen by most people. So George A. Romero's best movie to me is Diary of the Dead from 2008. And
yeah, good pick.
It's I mean, Night of the Living Dead's like the most influential movie. Obviously, Dawn of the Dead's like the classic, but this is a director by 2008. He was at the height of his powers and fully understanding the genre better than anybody else because he invented it. And he plays with it in a way that makes it like present with the times and still like being self-referential. Like it kind of takes you back to the first zombie outbreak. It kind of breaks the timeline. His first four movies were all in the same line, but this and his last zombie movie, Survival of the Dead, form their own timeline again, but they still are sort of in the same series. But this one is like a found footage movie, which makes it it's just a brilliant idea for a zombie flick. That's like my other favorite kind of horror movie is found footage. And Romero kind of makes it look and feel unlike any other one of his movies, and he's just a master of the craft of making these movies. It's one of the most claustrophobic movies I've ever seen, and it was coming off Land of the Dead, which was just like a couple years earlier that he made with a big budget and a big cast. And here he has like an independently produced movie with no names, and I think it's fantastic. I mean, I know it doesn't have great reviews, and it's got a pretty low IMDb score and stuff, but Diary of the Dead is like kind of a masterpiece, and I have it in like my top 10 of 2008. Like I love the movie, and it's pretty much available for free everywhere. Tubi, Vudu, Pluto, Roku, others. Like, yeah, check out Diary of the Dead if you like zombie movies. You won't be disappointed.
Definitely not going to be disappointed on that one. I'm going to second that. I think that just got knocked out of my top 10. I had to double check that. But yeah, that one is a fantastic film. One of my favorite kills, probably awesome kills in zombie movies. You got to go with the defibrillator scene in the hospital. And he puts him up to the temples and the eyeballs pop out. It's great. It's a great kill there. That's a great movie. I really solid pick there. Yeah, because this is more of a, not like the best movies. I think one of my favorite, obviously, you mentioned Night of the Living Dead. I would throw up Shaun of the Dead is up there with one of the first ever rom-com zombies. Is a fantastic one by Edgar Wright. 28 Days Later, we haven't mentioned yet either. But the movie, if I'm going to recommend a movie, what more? If you want a good movie for the holiday season of Christmas, you got to go with Anna and the Apocalypse. This is not just a zombie movie, ladies and gentlemen. This is not just a Christmas movie. It's also a musical. Anna and the Apocalypse has a great poster of a bunch of zombie arms, Anna and holding a candy cane up in the air. It's kind of a fun, unique time. It's pretty ridiculous, but it's one of those ones that it's zombie movies like we were talking about is such a unique kind of a faux for movies, so they can pretty much fit in any genre really. And this Christmas musical horror film it does it. It might not have the best kills or anything like that, but I got invested in the film enough where I'm like, I had a lot of fun. I would love to watch this every Christmas if I could. And sometimes that's just what you want. You're not looking for the goriest film. There's some cool deaths in here. A zombie getting killed by a candy cane, pretty awesome, pretty memorable. However, it's just a fun film, and some of the songs aren't half bad either. So Anna and the Apocalypse kind of was a sleeper hit from a few years ago. One that you should probably take a look at. I think it came out in 2017, around there, give or take a year or two. But Anna and the Apocalypse, check it out.
How do I not even know this movie? That's crazy. Like, this looks awesome. I've never.
Yeah, it's a pretty fascinating one. Like I said, it's one of those ones that there's not the craziest kills, and probably other ones are better. But if you're looking for a unique zombie experience, throwing 3 different genres into one movie, kind of a bold move, but it kind of paid off in a way. And I got invested in the Anna character too, so it was really cool to watch. Any other movies kind of that you would, of course, it's worth mentioning these films too. What other films you got?
Well, the others that I think are just great movies are 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, Paranorman. If you want to count that as a zombie movie. Shaun of the Dead, you said, Zombieland, What We Do in the Shadows, obviously. And one that I really like is The Haunted World of El Superbeasto, which is an animated movie directed by Rob Zombie. And I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan, and like it's that is something else. But yeah, El Superbeasto is based on his comic book. And there's movies that have like the zombie elements that aren't really zombie movies, like The Road and Reanimator and The Crazies. Like you could go on and on with like ones that aren't they're not technically living dead, but they seem like zombies, and there's a whole nother genre of those type of movies.
Yeah, that good calls on a lot of those ones. There's a whole zombies, loose interpretations on across all films too. So some of the ones I would like to mention, Record, which has several different ones. You can kind of Quarantine is the one that's the American version remake, but I think the original Record, the first one, is pretty dang fantastic.
That's almost like demon possession, though. It's sort of a zombie, but it has zombie elements. That'd be in that second category.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it is obviously that is a masterpiece.
Yeah, the another one I had on my list here too was VHS 2. It's not a whole zombie movie. These movies are based off segments. I'm not a huge fan of them either, but there's a sequence where this guy is riding his bike through the woods and he has a GoPro on, and it basically takes the form where he finds somebody with a bunch of blood on him, and he turns into a zombie with a GoPro, and he goes and kills people too with a GoPro. It's a pretty crazy sequence of VHS 2, and of course I have to go with Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. I would have to mention that one as being one of my favorites. We mentioned in the podcast Day of the Dead, which starring the remake of it, that George Romero is considered probably a better film, but guilty pleasure film. Day of the Dead with Nick Cannon and Ving Rhames, and what's her name again?
Mina Suvari.
Mina Suvari. There we go. It's not the greatest, but my wife grew up on it, so we love it. So there we go. That's what I would pick.
Have you seen Land of the Dead?
Oh, those that cluster of films that Romero did near the end kind of all blend together. Which one was Land of the Dead again?
The zombies have basically taken over everything. It's like the humans fighting back, kind of. It's got Simon Baker. He's the main character.
Then I haven't seen. I know for a fact I haven't seen that one then.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that was I think that was the first ever R-rated movie I watched in the theater. It was like 2005, or at least the one that I bought my own ticket for.
There we go.
That pretty much was what started my zombie movie obsession. Was like the fact that movie just blew my mind at the time.
So I have to check that. Take a look at that one. State of Emergency was a pretty fun one. It's kind of like 28 Days Later in a sense, but not as good, but still an entertaining movie to watch. I guess I'll throw Resident Evil 2 and 3 up there as well. Play the video games. Not the movies are okay, but play the video games for those. Anyway, guys, what's your guys' thoughts on zombie movies? What some movies do you recommend? Let me know in the comments section down below. We'll have a good conversation there. So thank you. Hey, make sure you subscribe. Until next time, see you later.